Hello, and welcome to Rough Edges. I'm your host, Lynessa Fox. In this podcast, I will guide you through my faith and mental health journey to dispel the stigma surrounding mental illness and to create a voice for those who wish to discover more about these topics. This podcast will not only shed light on mental health issues, but will also reveal the intersection between faith and mental illness. I pray that these themes will bring growth and healing to our communities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rough Edges. We are currently in our third season, and this season is all about relationships and mental health. Today, I am joined by a very special guest who needs no introduction. She is the reason why I'm here today, and she is just my greatest love in the world. I would like to introduce my mother, Lynessa Fox. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
All right. So, Mom, I just want us to get to know you better. And so, what are 3 things that you can't live without and why?
Okay, the 3 things I can't live without is food, water, and money. First and foremost, food and water are the basic needs and essential part of living. You need money to take care of your bills and daily living. Without finances, you can't really take care of yourself properly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially because money, they say money makes the world go round. So you got to have money, especially living in this country, which is America, the most expensive countries to live in. But yeah, so that's really essential. So we're talking about relationships and mental health today. So what would you say are the fundamental aspects of a good relationship?
Well, healthy relationships involve honesty, trust, respect, and open communication. And I think those things are very important. Number 1, respect each other. You have to respect each other. Number 2, trust one another. Without trust, there is really nothing, to talk about. You have to trust someone. And number 3, I would say make decisions together. Don't just go ahead and make a decision and say, oh, I decided that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
Right.
Sit down, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I would say enjoy each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that's very important because the person you with, you want to know that, they're there for you. You want to know that you can call on them. You want to say, okay, how about Sarah, how about we going to get some ice cream? How about we going to get, have some dinner, that enjoy each other company. These are things that, you would enjoy together.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with that, especially enjoying each other's company, because a lot of the times we forget to enjoy one another. We forget to enjoy the little moments. We always think that being in a relationship has to be about some grand gesture that we do every single day.
Right.
And that's not really necessary. Like, you could just be going on a walk in the park or sitting down at a nice restaurant.
Absolutely.
Or yeah,
Absolutely.
just doing little things,
Right.
And it's the little things that count the most. So thank you for that. That was really good. So we're stepping into your role as a caregiver. You're going to go into this a little bit later, but you've had to step into the role of being a caregiver for someone with mental illness. And so how did you step into the role of being a caregiver of someone with mental health issues?
Hmm. That was kind of difficult for me because after my daughter Sarah had a manic breakdown, I realized I had to do everything in my power to make sure that that never happened again.
Mm.
It was a very scary experience. I see her go from the Sarah that I knew into someone completely different.
Mm.
First, you have to get educated. That's very important. You
Mm.
have to know what's going on, know what you're dealing with, learn about mental illness, look up information. If you don't know about it, talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Right.
them, talk to people, find out information about mental health. And like I said, the experts, you have to get the experts involved. You know,
Right.
you have to um, know what to do in case of an emergency.
Right.
Then encourage treatment. Make sure they are getting all the right medications, and that is very important because sometimes you have certain medications that does not agree with the individual. You
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure that they're taking it at the right time, they're getting the right dosage.
Right.
You have to make sure, and it takes a while. What I observed in my experience with Sarah is that it for one medication to work, it takes a little while.
Yeah.
And sometimes, don't be scared, you might have to change several medications before you can get to the right medication, you know, for the patient.
Right.
So you have to really know about the treatment, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're getting. And you have to know warning signs also
Yeah.
that can trigger an attack. Well, for me, with Sarah, it was like I figured out she was talking just, I mean, Sarah is a talker, as many of you might realize by now. But that particular day, she was talking more. And another thing I noticed, I picked up on, she was talking very fast.
Mm-hmm.
She was just going in one after the other, everything just coming together so quickly. And I know that that's one of the sign of her triggers. I've learned that. But recovery from a mental illness is possible.
Mm-hmm.
You have 6 to 8% of those who receive treatment go into recovery.
Mm.
Okay? Help is available
Right.
for your loved ones. Okay? You need not suffer. They don't need to suffer through this. You know? Be a friend and a good family member. Sometimes they may do something or say something that's out of character, but then don't, it's not intended to be hurtful. Because sometimes you may sit in having a conversation and all of a sudden it's wow, what happened here? You know?
Right.
But don't be alarmed. You just continue to love and be their friend. Support them. If they want to talk about whatever is bothering them, be a listener. Do not be so quick to talk. Don't be the talker all the time.
Right.
Sit and listen to what they have to say because that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sit and listen to what they have to say, the more they talk, the more they get things out in the open, then you yourself can say, oh, wow, you know what? Oh, that's what's bothering her, and you can deal with that situation.
Right.
So remember, always support them, be a listener. If they don't want to talk, don't force them to talk.
Mm.
You know? Let them be the way they want to be. Okay? And the thing about it is, you don't force them. Let them, when they're ready, they would definitely come around, and they definitely would talk to you. Because sometimes I notice with Sarah, if I said to her, Sarah, she comes home and I said, Sarah, how is your day today? And she would say, and I know what that means. So I wouldn't push. I wouldn't go ahead and say, oh, well, tell me what's going on. No, I would let her calm down. And sometime after she eats dinner or stuff, then she would come around and she would say, oh, Mom, my day was so difficult today. I had a crappy day today. And then she'll explain, and then we'll sit and talk about it. So don't force information out of them. Let them volunteer. Let it be, a easy, way that they can really correspond with you.
Wow, that was good. And like there are certain things that you said that I want to touch on because they're really important. Just to reiterate, like you said with the medication, because a lot of the times people think, and even I thought, that when you start taking medication, you're going to see results right away. And a lot of the times that could be discouraging, especially when months go by and it didn't really take effect yet.
Exactly. But you have to be patient, like I said, because sometimes you have to go through several medications in order to get the right medication for the
Right.
for the person, you know, and that takes time. You can't just start a medication and say, okay, all right, she's medicated now. Let's see what happens. Oh, and then you look and you see, oh, there's nothing happening. It's the same thing, and you tend to tell yourself, well, what good is this then?
Yeah.
But you have to give it time, and you have to watch. You have to be very observant of the
Right.
person, because one thing, you know that person,
Yeah.
and sometimes you know that person better than they know themselves.
Mhm.
And you know the little ins and outs and stuff like that. Like with Sarah, I know certain things that would trigger her, and certain things that she likes, and certain things that she don't like. So you have to give the medication time to work. You also have to make sure that they have the medication there. What I do with Sarah is that I always say, Sarah, you have enough medication? Do you need to call the doctor to get more medicine? Do you
Mhm.
have refills? And then I always, and I know she hates me for that sometimes, I always said to her, Sarah, did you take your medication today? And she
Yeah.
said, yes, Mom, I took my medication today. But it's just something you got to get, because you want what's best for them.
Right.
And, in this process, it's something new for that person. It's
Right.
something new they come into. And they would tend to forget, because it's just like us in everyday life. If we're not doing something on a daily basis,
Right.
we tend to forget. Like once in a while things, you forget. So
Yeah.
my thing is, I'm here to remind her, of did you take your medication, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I appreciate it. You and my sister, get on me for reminding me about taking my medication. And that's very good to have that type of support. And something that you said earlier about consulting experts, because that's very important as well. You got to build a good support team when you're first starting out, especially because if you don't have a good therapist or a good psychiatrist, or a good nutritionist, if you want to throw that one into the mix, you're going to be lost, in terms of information or in terms of things that you need to properly heal.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be in contact with somebody who knows of the situation,
Right.
who knows what's going on, and that can best help you. Because when you have a loved one with a mental illness, you want them to be totally well.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be halfway well. And in order to do that, you have to go all out. You have to do researches. You have to have people you can call upon and say, well, look, Sarah is so, doing so and so today. I'm a little concerned,
Yeah.
and they can tell you, well, okay, all right, try this, or, like a support system,
Right.
like a backup. You have
Yeah.
some, so you need that. You need
Right.
to know what's going on. You need to know about the mental illness as much as you can, whatever diagnosis the person have. You need to know, that's very important in order to help them.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the last thing that you brought up, which is kind of important, is being a listener. Because a lot of the times it's like when you want to help somebody that you care about, you always have the tendency to, like, not you, but I'm talking about in general. People always have the tendency to try to help, but they kind of force it in a way, or they don't know how to help somebody.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to be a listener, to be there, and like you said, not force the other person, force information out of them, because that's going to make them close off even more,
Right. What you see, Sarah, the thing about it is that some people, they talk a lot. They f- think that they're doing the right thing by just talking to the person and not listening to the person.
Right.
So,
Right.
but in order to get things going, you have to listen. And sometimes, Sarah, you have to listen more than you talk yourself.
Right.
You have to listen to what they're saying and pay attention. Don't just listen and as soon as they finish, you're talking and telling them.
Yeah.
That's good too. But listen to what they're saying, because half of the time what they're saying to you, when you listen, you're better able to help them.
Right.
Because many I experienced that, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that, or you can say, well, wow, I didn't know that that annoys her this much. I didn't know that she loves this much. So,
Right.
be a listener. Don't be
Yeah.
too quick to talk. Just listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, it's like listening to understand
Exactly.
versus listening to respond.
Absolutely.
Because, you got to make the difference between those two. So, yeah, that's really good and necessary. So, I know that being a caregiver is not an easy task. And it can be a lot to deal with, especially when you're used to someone that you love functioning in a certain way. Now you have to give extra care to that person because they're functioning in a different way. So, what would you say is the most difficult aspect of being a caregiver?
Well, I would say emotional and physical stress.
Mm,
You have less time for yourself and others of members of your family, and sometimes you feel burnt out. It's very common. It is important for caregivers to recognize the signs of burnt out. That's very, very important. Exhaustion, fatigue, withdrawal from friends, and irritability. Because as a caregiver, it hasn't been easy for me. It's like from going from one extreme to another. It's like being in an environment where everything is nice and, well put together, and all of a sudden it's like something happens and all of that is just, it falls apart. And you tell yourself, oh my God, how can I put this back together? In a way that it was before, so that Sarah herself can really feel comfortable,
right.
in that environment again. It's like a struggle. You really can't, say, oh, this, I have to do this, I have to do that. But it's emotionally and physically, it's stressful.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, you gotta make time for yourself. You as a caregiver have to know when it's the time out.
Yeah.
You as a caregiver have to know when to show tough love. You as a caregiver have to know, okay, although she's saying this, I know it's different. You have to know when to differentiate. You have to know when to, make those decisions and, be firm about it.
Right.
Because as a mother, us mothers, we really, fall for the little things. Oh, my baby. Oh, I want her to be better, but I don't want to hurt her in any way. So sometimes tough loves and it comes in and you have to do that. And it could be very emotional.
Yeah.
It could be very stressful. So you have to know when it's the time to take time for yourself. You have to say, okay, I'm shutting it off, and that's it. You know?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And also, when you see this happen as a caregiver, you want to step back, give yourself some me time also.
Right.
Do something that you love. Okay, today it's all about me. I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to take a walk,
Right.
or better yet, I love this one. I'm going to go to a spa. You're going to book a spa there. You're going to go get yourself all done. I mean, for me, when I have a spa day, which is not regular, but when I do, I feel like reborn.
Yeah, rejuvenated.
Rejuvenated. You get that nice massage, and everything comes together, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So you have to, know when to take a step back for yourself.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Self-care is really important, especially when you're dealing with someone who has mental health issues. Because sometimes, like you said, you gotta, put your foot down and institute some tough love. Because at the same time, it's like, sometimes a person may not want to be helped in the moment,
Exactly.
And that they need the help, but you just gotta, not be aggressive, but, you gotta know when to have that balance between, okay, I love you and care about you, but you're also doing something that's detrimental to yourself, and I want to make sure that you're okay,
Right.
Yeah, so that was important. So self-care and knowing when to step back really helps you get back into the frame of mind of being, a caregiver and that person that other person can depend on.
Right.
So you kind of touched on this already, but how do you find the strength to take care of yourself while you also take care of others?
Well, for me, is relying on God for my strength.
Yeah.
But doing these necessary things as well can help. Number one, take care of your health.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your regular checkup from the doctor. Make sure you do what you have to do to stay healthy.
Right.
And number two, well, I just mentioned it. Visit your doctor for regular checkup and stuff like that. And number three, educate yourself about your love for one, to love one another. The condition that you're in. Because you love your loved ones, and when things happen, you just don't say, you don't just love them anymore.
Right.
Because love is a thing, no matter what, you're there for them.
Right.
And love is an action word. You want to show them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That you love them. You know what I mean? So, number 4, I would say staying organized.
Yeah.
You know the new developments. You know what's happening. Know the new treatments, know how to deal with it.
Right.
I think changes from day to day.
Yeah.
No, because what worked last week might not work this week.
Right.
So you need to know what's going on. You take breaks, takes breaks, relax a little bit, and you have to talk to your loved one and family.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't talk enough, and sometimes we talk too much.
Yeah.
So you got to know the balance. You don't want to talk too much. You don't want to not give, enough love, enough,
Yeah.
whereby that person, knows that, okay, if anything, I can go to this person, or if anything, I can go to my mom, or, you have to show enough love,
Right.
so that person, would know without the shadow of a doubt, I can depend on,
Yeah.
that person. If I call, I know, they can talk me off the ledge or something like that.
Right.
You have to know. And another thing is look for help in your community.
Yeah.
Because, in several communities, you would find areas that have these little like support groups,
Yeah.
that you yourself, it helps.
Yeah.
That you yourself can go and learn more of mental illness.
Right.
You go to some of these support groups and you sit there and you listen, and then you said, "Oh my gosh, look at how much more these people have to endure or go through."
Right.
For me, it's this area, but for some other people, it's so many different areas,
Right.
and it's a learning experience,
Yeah.
and you'll be amazed.
Yeah.
And there you can make friends, and you have, it's very, very important. So get help from your community, because there is help.
Right.
There is lots of help out there, but you just have to know how you go about getting the help. But there is help. And things like that, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps strengthens you. It gives you, your stress level comes down a little bit less. I mean, it's not all the way, but but it's a little bit less stress you get, and it helps a lot to
Yeah.
know that you're not alone in that situation.
Right.
I'm not the only mother with a mental illness, kid that has
Yeah.
a mental problem. Look how many, and it opened your eyes to a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Because things you weren't looking for before, you start looking for.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's very helpful.
Yeah, and that's an important aspect, like community, because right now I'm in a bipolar support group. We meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's online. And because nowadays with COVID, we can't really meet as much as in person.
Right.
But online, I get to like meet so many other people from different countries, even who are dealing with these mental illnesses and everything. And it's a bipolar support group, so everybody in the group either has bipolar or knows somebody that is dealing with bipolar. And I've met some great people. I've even had some of them on the podcast before, who have just shared what works for them. And I get to learn about what to do in certain situations, and it really helps, and just having that community, that support system to kind of rally around you in your time of need. That's important, because you can't do this by yourself.
Absolutely, that you need help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And so, with that, you said something very important when you started answering the previous question about your faith. So, how does your faith play a role in taking care of someone with a mental illness?
For me, relying on God for my source of strength, praying and having faith in God to heal my loved one. I know that nothing is impossible with God.
Mm.
Praying with my love, praying with loved ones, letting them know that God can change any situation. You just have to have faith and believe that God we serve, is the one who says he is able to take care of any situation. And as a Christian, I pray a lot. My faith is very strong in God, and I've seen him work through situations that was practically impossible,
Right.
and it makes it possible. So me having my faith in God, me being a Christian woman, I gain my strength from God.
Mm.
Okay? I don't make any decisions without praying about it, no matter how little it is, even for a parking spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to the doctor and I'm there and I say, okay, God, I'm here and I can't find a park. And then, you know, all of a sudden somebody pulls out. I said, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I pull up and there's a spot right there. And I'll be like, oh, God, you are so good. You know, so I rely on God for my source of strength. I have proven God time and time again. And I know He's a God that delivers,
Mm.
and He's a God that sustains, and He's a God that meets you in your need.
Yeah.
Okay? He strengthens. He gives you that drive to go.
Mm.
When
Yeah.
I'm weak and I'm feeling that I can't go, I call on God. I say, God, you have to help me here.
Right.
Okay? Because I said, I can do this, but you, God, you are my strength. And I am very committed in my faith. I am 100% sure that God is in control.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look around and I see what's happening in the world today, I know that God is there, even in the midst of disaster and turmoil. And even when things are falling apart around you,
Yeah.
God is there. You know, He says, if when you call, I would answer. And He does just that. But you have to take that step. You have to tell yourself, today I'm turning over this to God. God,
Right.
today I'm up, I'm walking around, but I am depending on you to get me through this day.
Right.
And He will get you through the day.
Yeah.
And you know, being a Christian, it's such a joy, because when I see things happening and see things happening around me and how I'm not affected by it, it's
Right.
just God. You know, you just have to let God take a hold of your life. Give your life to God and let Him direct your path. Let Him lead you. Let Him be your go to person. Because people would disappoint you sometimes, but God never disappoints. You know, so that's where, you know, my faith, that's what I hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to trust Him, you know?
Yeah.
Reflect on the situations that you had, you know, that you've been through, and
Yeah.
trust Him to continue to work through that. because even I had a particular time when Sarah was in the hospital, and it was during that time, it was getting close to the time for her birthday. And I was saying, God, I do not need Sarah in the hospital for her birthday, you know? And then I had a meeting with the doctors and, the team, the medical team, and they were saying, Miss Fox, we need to have Sarah here so we can monitor her, for the medication she's on and stuff like that. And I was saying to them, look, I understand, but I need a home for her birthday, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they said to me, okay, we would try, we would see what happens and stuff like that. And I said to them, look, I'm going to be overseeing her as well as home. I'm going to be monitoring her and stuff like that. And I had to go and I had to tell them, I said, look, just as you want her to be well, I'm her mother, and I want her to be well as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
I want
of
her to be
course.
100% well.
Yeah.
So, faith faith in God works miracles. And that's what I've been doing. Just trusting God, knowing that He is going to come through.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very wonderful because your faith is also a source of hope. Because for me, my faith in God, and that's what I've been trying to do on this podcast, is to see where mental illness and faith intersect,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so important to have that hope. Because a lot of the times, especially when I get into depressed modes, it's so easy to slip into hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to slip into that mentality where you think that nothing's going to ever get better, especially when you're taking medication and it's not working for you,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to see your therapist and he or she may have said something that rubbed you the wrong way, and now you have to like reopen old wounds and everything,
Right.
and it
Right.
just seems repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And healing can take a lot of time, and
It
it's
does.
it's also not a linear process.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes you got to take a couple steps back in order to heal something, in order to move forward. Sometimes you feel like you're regressing even though you felt like you made progress a couple weeks ago. Like, it's just a lot of different factors when it comes to healing. And for me, my faith keeps me grounded in terms of like, okay, I know that God is there. Sometimes I may not feel him. Sometimes I may be angry with him. Like, God, how could you allow me to deal with this illness?
Right.
But at the same time, I know that he's there for me. And he puts people in my life that have encouraged me and
Absolutely.
that have helped me
Mm-hmm.
to see the brighter side of life. Because once you lose that aspect and that ability to have hope for the future, that's when all is lost,
Yes.
And
Yes.
so my faith in God helps me to have hope that things will get better and that my life is a testament to someone else. I may not know it yet, but I'm going to help somebody else along the line,
Right.
Yeah. So that's really important. And so, Mom, my final question to you would be, what advice or words of encouragement do you have for those who are struggling to be a mental health caregiver?
Hmm. Very important. Educate yourself about the medication. That's very important. Know the warning signs. Don't force them into doing things they don't want to do. Very important. Be a listener, not a talker. I keep saying that, and that's important. You have to listen to know what's going on.
Yeah.
If they don't talk, you don't know what's going on. So if they're not talking, you as a parent, as a caregiver, I would say, would be worrying.
Yeah.
Why is it so quiet? You know, and why is it why are they so turned off. What's going on? You tend to start worrying. So be a listener. If they know that they can come to you and say anything, and I mean anything, they are going to just say it as it is. I mean, sometimes I'm shocked to hear certain things. But then again, I try not to show my emotions by, oh my gosh, or
Yeah.
something like that. I'll be just in my mind, wow, you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's important. And keep letting them know that you love them, hug them, embrace them as often as you can.
Yeah.
You know, I love this part with Sarah because Sarah is a hugger. Sarah loves to hug, and it's not just that she loves to hug. I hope I'm not exposed in anything. Is that she hugs and she stays a bit. People hug and they just hug you and they just okay.
Yeah.
But when you stay a little, you know, you actually feel the love between each other. Don't be
Right.
afraid to hug them. Don't be afraid to tell them that you love them. Every chance you get, you let them know. Every chance I get Sarah know I love her. Sometimes during the day I'll just text her, "What's up? I love you," and stuff like that.
With a bunch of
And
emojis.
exactly, with the emojis. And sometimes I know she's sick of me and saying, "Oh, mom, look at you. There you go." But it's something I love to do. So encourage, just love them, be there for them, embrace them, let them know that you are there. Not just that you are there to talk alone, but let them know that they are loved. That's the most important thing. Because if you know that you are loved, regardless, I'm just not talking about when you do the good things. Oh, I love you. Even when the bad things happen,
Mm-hmm.
you would have to sit and say, "Look, Sarah, I love you regardless." And that's something Sarah can tell you that I say all the time. I would say to her, even in her down moments, "Sarah, I love you regardless of the situation right now.
Mm.
And no matter what you do, I'm going to still love you."
Yeah.
Okay? Aim for the sky, for the stars, for the moon. If you fall among the stars, it's quite
It's
okay.
okay.
I'm going to love
Yeah.
you regardless.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, I am going to love you. So you have to let them know that, you love them.
Yeah.
Love is very important in mental illness. Okay? If I know that you love me, I can do a whole lot more.
Yeah.
It gives them hope.
Yeah.
You understand? It,
Mm.
it gives them something that, oh, well, I may be feeling crappy today. I may not get the job that I want, but guess what? My mom still loves me. Guess what? My family still loves me. Listen,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
do this
Mm-hmm.
because my family still loves me, no matter what. So, another thing I would say that you have to do not let your diagnosis determines who you are.
Yeah.
And I repeat that. Do not let your diagnosis determines who you are. Okay? You got to let them know that you can live with a mental illness. Okay? First, by taking care of yourself. It takes good health. You may have to change your diet. You you make sure you're taking your medication, and you have to be able to tell yourself, "Look, this would not get the better of me."
Yeah.
People live with a whole lot of stuff,
Yeah.
a whole lot of diagnosis. If you sit and listen, diabetes, high blood pressure, all these things, people take medication for it.
Mm.
And they live with it.
Yeah.
And they thrive with it.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not um a death sentence, in other words.
Right. Right.
Okay? It's livable. It's
Right.
doable.
Right.
It's the same with mental illness. You can live a full, long, good life.
Right.
One, make sure you're taking your medication. Make sure you're in contact with your doctor. Because you might notice sometimes, and I've noticed it, because I was visiting Sarah one time at the hospital, and I saw another parent who is a mother, and it was her son that was there. And guess what? It wasn't the first time he was in there. He's been there a couple of times, and you want to know why? He was not taking his medication. I sat there while visiting Sarah, and I heard his mother saying to him, if you were taking your meds, you won't be here right now. Why don't you take your medication? So, just like high blood pressure, just like diabetes, you got to take your medication. Take your medication.
Right.
You'll be a better person.
Yeah.
You will be able to make better decisions. So you'll be a better person. The minute time you stop taking your medication, what happens is, well, I know because I take high blood pressure medicine, your blood pressure goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Then you begin to have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But once you've been medicated, it stays under control. It's the same thing with mental illness. And people live with high blood pressure. People live with diabetes. People live with a whole lot of stuff. But it just has to be manageable. It has to be under control. And you as an individual can make that happen. Because it all depends on you.
Right.
How you take care of yourself. How you go about doing things. So it's doable. Okay?
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. Well, Mom, I want to thank you for joining me today. And guys, stay tuned for more empowering episodes on Rough Edges. Thank you for listening to Rough Edges. Feel free to follow this podcast on Instagram at rough.edges.podcast or visit my blog at sarahifox.com. If you have any questions or further suggestions on how to make this podcast grow, you can email at rough.edges.podcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening and have a wonderful day.